Hi folks, welcome back to another round of the 5% Solution Trading System. We are in week number 2 of the system. Last week was our first rollout of the beta, and we had a really successful week. All 3 of our trades did not require any adjustments of any kind, and we ended up with a very solid profit week, as you would imagine, when none of the trades require any adjusting or book any losses. So we'll see how this week goes. We are starting obviously today with the market down a little bit. Big sell-off here at the open. Boy, we're down like 50 points at one point here. We've kind of come back here a little bit. This is one of the reasons why one of the first rules of our system is to wait until the 10:30 Mountain Daylight Time to start trading. Number one is it just gives us a 3-hour trading window for the day. And that's about all I want to work anymore is 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, 9 hours a week is plenty. And number two, it allows us to let the market sort of find its footing for the day. So we are here about an hour into the trading day. That's 8:33 Mountain Daylight Time. We're going to come back here at 10:30, put our first trade leg in for the day. Again, we generally want to start off on the strong side of the trade. And so that would be putting in a call leg up here. We'll see, of course, how the next 2 hours develop. We do seem to be coming back quite nicely here. So it might be the put leg that we put in first. But we will come back at the 10:30 hour. Take a look at that. All right, it's about 10:07. We're nearing that 10:30 hour looking for our first trade. The market has really come screaming back here. So again, we had this massive sell-off, sort of bottomed out here, and now we've come screaming back. We'll see here. We're going to wait just another 5 or 10 minutes here and then put in our first trade. There's not a lot of premium sitting on the call side, which our rules would dictate would be our first leg that we look into locking in. So we'll see what that looks like here in about 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, it's about 10:15. I thought that we were going to try to make a little run here on this. But we've sort of hit the Monday morning opening price sort of in the futures, and we're back there now sort of trailing off. I'm going to go ahead and put in the call leg. I think that we're still okay there, even though the premiums are not what we had hoped for. I might actually put the premium amount in and just let it sit there for maybe 15 minutes. See if we can get a fill. If not, we might have to come back and just change the strike prices a little bit on this. I'm going to look at selling the 28.95s, buying the 29.05s. Let's see if I can get that mid price of 35 cents. That would give me, there we go, let's get the right account loaded up. That would bring in about 225 bucks if I could get that. So I'm going to send that. And we're just going to let that sit for 15 minutes, which is quite a long time, usually for me letting the trade sit, but we'll see how it goes. Okay, we got the fill at 35, or it took a little bit to get that going, but we did get it right there at 35, and I feel about 10:26. That was our in with 21 contracts. We sold the 28.95s, bought the 29.05s. And so that's about $225 of income credit on our capital of $11,800 at a 1.9% cash on cash return. Obviously, we'll see what we keep of that. And we got one more leg, obviously, to put in as well. So we'll see at the 11:30 hour. It's about 11:30. It's entering our second hour of the trading day for us, and we just hit this trade perfectly so far. About 10:30 or so up in here. This is where we were able to put our call leg way up in here, and that looks solid so far. We got the market really cooperating with us now. They are continuing to drift down a little bit. It's time to put our put leg in. We're looking at putting it down here somewhere around this 2800 level. If I look at that, I may even go down to the 27.95 level. If I could get that 40 cent, if I could get that 40 cent fill, that'd be awesome. It'd be another $278. I'm going to send that at 40 cents and just let it sit for a moment here. See if we could get that. We may need to alter that a little bit. All right, I've let that trade sit for quite a bit here, and we're not even close right now. We were down almost 30 points on the E-minis, and it was showing 35, bouncing between 35 and 40 cents, but just not there. And so I'm going to go ahead and just cancel that trade, and we're going to go look at doing, we're going to have to move it up at least a little bit. Maybe more to this 28 level. So let's see if that even makes a difference. Even there, we may not even get the 30 cents. Let's look at the 28.05 level. That would probably give us the return that we are looking for. It's a little bit tighter than I'd like to go, so we might have to make some adjustments there. In fact, that's really tight. But we'll see if we can get compensated for it. Again, I need 21 of these contracts in place. And I don't think we're going to get the 45. That would be $331. I'll let that sit for just a second. That's sitting right there, but probably going to need to replace that with a 40 cent. We'll try that. That would bring in $278 at 40 cents. I'll let that sit for a moment. Okay, there's our fill. So that's another $278 in on our positioning. And we're into a full iron condor for the day. So we've deployed about $11,800 in capital, showing our margin requirements a little bit higher now, but that was our original capital commitment, was $11,800. Brought in a total of $503. It's showing $630, but again, we got to minus out our commission. So our net credit, $503. And we're sitting fairly pretty right here. With about maybe a little less than 2 hours for our trading window to roll out. So we will see where we are about an hour from now at the 12:30 mark. It's almost 1 o'clock, only a half hour left in our trading, and we are sitting in the negative right now in our open profit and loss position because we are pushing down towards our puts in the trade. And so I'm going to go ahead, step one of this repair strategy, and I'm going to go roll our call legs down. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight our call leg. I just want to go back and look at the fill on that call leg. There's the call leg right there. Got filled at 35 cents is what we brought in on that trade. And I'm going to come back here, right click on that, look to close that, showing a debit of 5 cents. Let's see if we can get that filled there at 5 cents. Might have to crank that up here a little bit. Go ahead and see if we can find that. Refresh that. There it is. Replace. Let's try. Well, gotta go to 10 cents. That'd be 141 bucks back. So $141 debit on the calls is what I had to pay. And now I'm going to go ahead, and again, if we look at that, we can see those were the 28.95s that we sold, 21 of those. I'm going to come down here and look at maybe the 28, look at maybe the 28.60s by the 28.70s. That would be 35 cents. And again, we have 21 contracts. So if I could get 35 cents on those, that'd bring in $225. Again, I got to refresh this. This should be automatically working here, but showing more close to the 30 level. Let's see what that would give us. 173. So I'm going to let that sit for just a second. That's not going either as the sell-off starts to accelerate here a little bit. And so I'm going to go ahead and just cancel that order. and see if we can get cancellation on that. It might already show canceled. Still shows working. Okay, there we go. And let's redo that now. And instead of the 2860s, let's try the 2845s, the 2855s. Again, 21 contracts. That'd be a nice credit right there. If we could get that, almost $700. And I do get that, so a credit of $700. So we just spent $141 on the debit to get out of that call and roll that down, but we brought in another $700 credit on the roll down. And we'll watch this for just a moment here, and then we may have to roll down the put leg as well. Well, we're at the 130 mark, and we are just hanging in there. Obviously, we're moving down closer to the put leg, and we tried to mitigate that a little bit by closing out the top call leg at a profit and moving that leg down a little bit. That's really tightened up our trading range here going into the finish, going into the close. But we've tried to, at least we are trying to build some kind of a base down here. So while we are very close to the put leg, I have until about 145 to do an adjustment on this. You can't trade your futures other than closing positions the last 15 minutes of the market open. And so I'm going to continue to watch this for just a little bit here. And if we can stay at least where we are or up in here, we're okay. If not, we're going to have to make another type of adjustment here, just depending on what we do. All right, we're past the 145 mark. That means we've got about 15 minutes left of trading. It also means that we cannot open new positions. We can only do closing positions. So we are stuck with what we have here until the close. We are profitable. We have an open position here of about $300 of profit on this, but we are just hanging on here by the very bare minimum here. We are pretty equidistant, but this is not where we want to be, with 15, 14 minutes going into the close. But it does seem to be settling down here. So we're going to try to squeak out. We're going to try to do two things. We're going to try to squeak out as much profit as possible, and bottom line, not give back the profit that we are currently sitting on, which that could happen in a blink of an eye here if we get a big movement here. So we're going to watch this closely going into the close. Okay, we're about 3.5 minutes away from the market close here, and we're just hanging in there. We're just hanging in there. Obviously, some big moves can happen, not only going into the close, but of course the little trading time that we have after the close. And it looks like right there, you can see that little flash right there. That's Tastyworks right there trying to close out our orders for us. They're going to automatically close them. There they go. We got them out at a 15-cent debit, which there's good and there's bad with that. So the good is that you're not going to get hurt or you shouldn't get hurt in a Tastyworks account, because if you start to get too close to your wings on a trade like this, they're going to go ahead and close it out for you. There's my remaining one right there. We'll see what they get that filled at. So they're automatically closing that for us. So we're going to need to calculate that debit into our overall results for the day. So we'll let those close out, and then we'll tally some numbers for the day. Should be a darn good day. Okay, market is closed. It's 2 o'clock, and man, that was a big day. It's not the way that we want to make this. That was a little undisciplined holding that long. But obviously I was sitting here watching it as it went, and we would have closed it out had we needed to. Just wanted to go through the day's trading results. And if you look at this one, this is a trade that I made at 1 in the morning as I was still awake and had nothing better to do. And I just threw this on. I'm like, I don't think this is going to hit. It was bidded at about like $1.50 at the time. I put it at a $2 credit. It hit. It took me at $2. So I was getting ready to go to bed. I put it in. I said, okay, I'll just sell it at $1.40. booked the profit, and it hit it as well. So had a little bit of profit coming in earlier this morning. For all intents and purposes of what we're doing here with this 5% solution system, I'm not going to count those in our profit or loss totals for the day, but this was our first trade right here. That was our call leg that we entered into, and we got 35 cents for that. So if we look at that call leg, it won't give it. It gives us a credit of about 300, and I'm going to just assume some commissions in here. Credit of about $350 there on that particular trade. And then our next trade was right here, and that was putting in the put leg. That was a 40-cent credit, and that, of course, would be about $400 on that particular leg. And then our adjustment trade right here, we had to go ahead, or we did go ahead and close out our call leg at a 10-cent debit. So a 10-cent debit, that would have cost us 105. So I'm going to put that in there at a cost of 105. And then our last trade here on that, on that adjustment, we redid it, or we rolled that call leg down for an 80-cent credit, and an 80-cent credit would have brought in about $800 to the plus side. And then last but not least today, activity-wise, we did have Tastyworks, as you saw there. We had Tastyworks come in, basically close our full trade, our full iron condor out, just so that there was no risk of assignment after market trading or anything like that. But it was at 15 cents was the debit. Boy, that's way off. So let me put this in at 15 cents debit. And that would have cost us about $160. So a negative 160. So let's just add our numbers up on the day. We can get kind of an idea of where we're at. Brought in about 350 plus another 400 minus 105 plus 800. That was a big one, that adjustment right there. Minus 160. And that puts us at about $1,285 for the day. And again, let me just look up my numbers here. That was on $11,800 of capital. So let's take that and divide it by $11,800 of capital. Gosh darn it, that's about almost an 11% return in one day. Remember, our goal is to make 5% a week net, trading 3 hours a day, 3 days a week. And so if we could shoot to make maybe 3% a day, understanding that just like you saw today, we're going to have some adjustments or some losses that we might have to take. And so if we have, well, 1 out of every 3 trades doesn't work for us, but yet we're grossing 4 or 5% on each one, we should end up netting, we should hopefully end up netting around 5% a week. We're off to a great start this week with an 11% gain on the very first day.